Today's video, I am going to answer the question, do Google Ads still really work? Of course, I run a ad agency where we run probably 80% of the ads that we run for clients are still just on Google Ads, because that's what applies to most businesses that aren't selling something that applies to mass audiences. They're niche businesses where you're not going to stumble upon it on Facebook and say, wow, I really need a data digitalization for my company and buy. So obviously you could use content and develop a relationship. That's not what I'm talking about here, but I wanted to make this video because I've been seeing people, rumblings about, doesn't seem, people are saying it doesn't seem like Google Ads actually works anymore. And I've heard it from clients I've worked for years. People telling them they don't think Google Ads works anymore, and then questioning the whole thing. Which in reality, by the way, every time that situation comes up, you have to look at your numbers and not just go on gut feeling, because it certainly might be your SEO, your other traffic sources that it's causing your business to go down, whatever. But this video isn't about that. This video is about how things have changed on Google Ads and how to put this into a frame of reference for yourself. So of course it doesn't work for everybody, but pretty much everybody. Where it does work, will it work for you? How it works, so that you're prepared going into it and know what to expect, so you don't have to go through it like most people saying, is it going to work? Is it going to work? Is it going to work? And then end up pulling out right before they get to their fortunes, which is the most common thing people do. If you watch any individual space on Google, and you watch the new people that show up on the Google Ads at the top of Google, if we're talking about search ads here, you'll see people in and out all the time because they think they can get into it and it's going to be simple. Like they're the first person in their entire industry who thought of Google Ads. Anything that's too easy isn't worth much. This is the way of the world. If you are not like the typical person, you could make it work. You have to understand how this stuff works going in, so you're not a statistic having blown a bunch of money on Google Ads and literally got nothing out of it, or very little out of it, basically speaking. So I'm going to go through what all those details are, and then you'll have everything you need to know to understand, is it worth it, and then if you are going to invest, what is it really going to take to make it worth your time? So, and of course the changes that have occurred on Google Ads that makes it more difficult than it used to be. So with that said, the biggest thing that's changed on Google Ads is how long it takes to really get excellent results. Expecting to come in with like $1,000 and a sloppy setup and use that to kickstart your generating customers or clients on Google Ads are basically over, okay? Unless you have something where you're serving an unmet need, whereas you can pretty much expect your ads to work right away with no ad knowledge, practically speaking, and with very little money. Why? Because Google has nobody else to show, and there's people actively seeking it out all the time. So therefore, as long as it kind of shows up in the right places, people are going to buy, of course, that's all you need. But we're talking, this is, less than 5% of the businesses that want to use Google Ads. If you already search on Google for keywords related to your niche and you see 4 ads at the top of Google, that's both good and bad, by the way. It's good because there's people certainly making probably millions of dollars a year doing that in your space. The bad thing is, you're not going to just jump into this with $1,000, expect that 1,000 to produce 2,000, use the 1,000 from the 2,000 to then spend the next 1,000 in your ads, and then build up this fortune from using Google Ads from starting from $1,000 seed money, because it's not going to happen. And if it were that easy, somebody else before you would have already done it. We're past that stage. If you're going to make the millions of dollars with Google Ads, you got to understand what it takes to actually make it work. It is worth it, absolutely 110% to run Google Ads in most spaces. But you got to understand it's not going to be simple in 2 seconds that you're getting results with hardly any money up front and hardly any knowledge and you don't have to hire an expert, and it's all just going to be simple. Because it doesn't make logical sense that it should be that easy. Because again, this isn't 2010 where people don't know that Google Ads works or it exists or can it work. Everybody's basically tried Google Ads in this space. Most people fail. It's because they don't understand what it actually takes to make it work. So going into that though, if you did, by the way, have a small budget, you're not, starting out with $100,000 to get your ads to work starting out, you could come with $1,000 total investment and get it to work. But into where it starts producing a return, that return can keep the ads going and so on and so forth. But you have to understand what you're doing to do that. You're not going to get in the space where other bigger guys that you're competing against have not only all this time to have had to optimize their ads to know what works and what doesn't work, but they also have money to hire ad experts like myself to help them, compete well in that space and defend their turf, if you will. For you to come in with no knowledge, so to say, and hoping it works, there's a 0.1% chance of you making money on that $1,000. Just to keep it simple. So, but if you did know what you were doing, you had that $1,000, you knew how to set up an ad, effective landing page, which a lot of people glaze over that fact that you need a landing page to make money in most spaces. And you took that $1,000, instead of spreading it out over lots of different things in your niche, you go after just one keyword with the brackets around it, which is what they call exact match, so that you're only targeting that one term, so that all your money goes into testing and trying to figure out how to get that one keyword to work. There is a reasonable chance $1,000 is all you need to get started, and then it's already profitable and self-propelling itself from the money you made on that additional $1,000. But of course, that's not what most people do. Most people set up their ads in 15 minutes. They take that $1,000, it's gone, nothing happens. I will tell you, the game of Google Ads, it's a game of spending enough money to gather enough data that tells you what doesn't work and what works, so that you can focus on what works. Physically, as a person who optimizes their ads, and if you have conversion tracking set up in your account to track sales, to track leads, inside your account, it tells you, what keywords worked, what devices worked, what age groups worked, what genders worked, what parental status of the users that were searching worked, what household income worked and didn't work. And so you just start narrowing down your focus enough, and there'll be a point, there's gold in what you did. But since most people are so rambunctious and excited to get started on Google Ads, they don't even set up their tracking before they got started, so that when their $1,000 is gone, they can't actually see where the 1 or 2 sales came from. At least if you don't get the return that you want when that $1,000's gone, you can see where the sales came from and maybe just focus on that, and already now you have a campaign that works. Chances are though, in that scenario, you need more than $1,000. If you're just going to go super broad, you're going to have to spend that $10,000 to get it to work, or $50,000, because you're going super broad. But so where you save money is you target a smaller grouping of people, because there's less figuring out to do in a smaller group of people than there is a larger group of people in your space. Just as a small tip for you. So not only though, if you set up your conversion tracking in your account and you spend that money and it tells you what works and what doesn't work, Google's ad algorithm is also doing the same thing on their side. They're trying to get you placement in front of people that are buying. Why? Because they want their users to get a good experience from ads, and people who find an ad, click through, and get what they want, get a good experience. So they actually want to make you money. The problem is, it takes a lot of learning for a machine learning system that Google has to learn for your business, the way that you have your ad set up, what works and what doesn't. A lot of people think, because they're targeting their keywords, they're already done in terms of optimization. No. Within each keyword, Google looks at who converted and who didn't. Of the person who searched for red shoes, were they male versus female? Were they old versus young? Did they search on this device versus that device? Did they search in the morning or in the afternoon? What sites did they go before they searched for this keyword? And they look at all that data, so when somebody searches for that keyword and then goes to buy, they understand what that person's like, and the more sales you get, the more they understand of the keywords you're targeting, which times should your ad really show up versus not show up. And the more sales you get, the better the algorithm gets at doing it. So respectively, it's not a matter of if you will make money, assuming you're competitive in all other ways in your space. It's a matter of when. How much data do you have to build up? And when you got competition, heavy competition in Google Ads that have years worth of tracking data behind their campaigns, where their algorithm spent long periods of time to figure out what works for them versus what doesn't work, when you come in as a newbie, they think you're going to be in and out like the rest of the people that started up with high hopes and just quit right away because it didn't work right away, so they said it doesn't work. So they're only going to slowly test you out at the top of Google, and furthermore slowly test you out in the places that are expected to generate an actual customer. And then on top of that, you're going to have to prove to Google that you should be there at the top of Google. Google's looking for two things: high click-through rates, high conversion rates on your ads. If you can beat the people that are at the top of Google for those two things, Google will want to promote you at the top and send you all the customers. And if you're not, they'll want you to not be able to afford to be there and just disappear like 90% of the other people who start running their ads. But because they assume you're like the rest of the people who spend 15 minutes setting up your ads when you start out, they're only going to slowly test you out and furthermore only give you a tiny bit of the good quality traffic and give you mostly the poor quality traffic. When you start showing to Google's algorithm that you have a high click-through rate on your ads compared to your competition there, and high conversion rates, they'll give you a higher and higher percentage of the good quality traffic versus the poor quality traffic, which means you can now get a decent return. So Google's biased against you as a new advertiser right from the start, and it's especially biased when you have a new account with a new campaign. A new campaign's already has a bias against it. But if you have that and a new account, they assume you're going to be like there for 90 days and gone. So they're not going to push out the existing people at the top of Google that are making all the money just to help you out. You're going to have to prove to Google, pay your dues, so to say, spend some money with them, with the right ad, with the right landing pages that can get the metrics on the click-through rate, the conversion rate, where it needs to be to beat the competition that you have, and then you'll get the good customers, and then along with that, the good return from your ads. And for a lot of different markets, it's 6 months of running your ads before they're giving you permanent placement in front of the people that are really profitable, that they know statistically are probably going to be a good customer, and letting you have those clicks versus the clicks that are less likely to become a customer. So you're basically paying for mostly junk traffic at the beginning, which is why you don't get profitability right away. And then on top of that, for your unique business, they don't understand the type of people who like your specific products or your specific services or your specific website versus another competitors. So they learn you, your products, your services, your business, and who normally buys from you. And then furthermore, they know kind of who buys in general when they search for keywords you want to target, and send you a higher percentage of that good quality traffic the longer you've been advertising, assuming you can beat your competition at the click-through rate and conversion rate that they're monitoring, and that they want everybody that's at the top of Google to have itself to provide a good experience for their users. So with all that said, and linked to that, the cost per click has went up so high on Google. What you're paying for a click is like 5 times as much as what you're going to be paying later on. Once you've proven to Google you have a high click-through rate and a high conversion rate. Which means if you can't beat your competition that's there making all the millions on Google right now, you're never going to make any money because they're paying 5 times less for a click than you are for the same quality clicks, if you will. So you got to go in with the right campaign setup, with the right ads, the right landing pages, right website, right from the get-go. Otherwise, even if you invest $100,000 into ads for the algorithm to learn, it's all going to be pointless because you're never going to get your cost per click low enough to where the ads can actually be profitable for you, and for Google to actually want to put you in front of the quality people when they're searching, like I was explaining before. So you have to spend significant time and or money with an ad expert to set up the right funnel for your business, and then invest money on top of that for Google's algorithm to see you're better than the competition that's in your space there at the top of Google. And then once you've done both of those things, now your ads can actually be profitable. But the bright side out of all this, now I've said all the negative, okay? Once you actually get over the initial hump where Google's algorithm / system knows you have higher click-through rates and higher conversion rates than your competition, your cost per click goes down to a fifth of what it started out at, basically. You're getting the best of the best quality traffic that i.e. people that are likely to turn into a customer or client. And the longer you keep running your ads, the better it gets. So it's all just a race to try to get to profitability as quickly as possible, because once you've done that, it's all a downhill slide. The more data you collect in your account, the more the algorithm knows how to get you a better return, and then it snowballs. So you go in with the mindset saying, yes, I know my campaigns are probably not going to be profitable for 6 months running this, but when it starts being profitable and it breaks even after expenses, it's going to continuously get better and better after that. Where the average user is thinking, if it doesn't work right away, F it. And what I'm saying is, if you think that way, you might as well not even do it, because that's not how it works today. It's different today. They favor the people that are doing a better job with their advertising and don't want anybody who can't do a good job with their advertising to even be there to start with. They don't officially ban you, they just make it unprofitable for you so that you go elsewhere. So everybody has a shot at the millions in their space if you can have a higher click-through rate and a higher conversion rate than your competition, and you stay in it long enough initially to prove it to Google, so they want to give you all the best quality traffic and charge you a really decent rate for the traffic that you do pay for. So what you do is you try to figure out your numbers up front. How many sales do I need to make per dollar in ads that I spend to be break-even profitable after expenses? Or how many leads do I need, roughly, to break even after expenses, after the cost of the ad spend, after the cost of delivering the work, whatever. And everything you're doing at the beginning is just to get to that number, because you know if you get to that number, it's all a downhill slide. That number will keep getting, your cost per sale or cost per lead will just keep going down. The ROI will just keep going up, because it has to. The more data that you've accumulated through your account and the machine learning system gets, the better your results have to get. They'll start figuring stuff out more and more all the time. They'll find out small details, like when they search for this keyword here, females convert well versus males don't. So let's just only have females see the ad if they type in this keyword. They'll find, this keyword over here, we found out that unless they have at least $55,000 a year in income, they don't convert well enough. So unless they have $55,000 worth of income, we're not going to have the ad show up for this person. They have thousands of data points on all the users that use Google stored. They monitor everything you do online. They got Google Chrome, where they can see everything you've done online. They got Google Analytics on most websites, so that even if you don't use Google Chrome, they can see what websites you go to anyway. They can see what you Google. They can see what you're watching on YouTube. They can see what websites you go if Google AdSense code's on those websites. They know more about you than you know about yourself. They pretty much can pick up and tell who's going to be who's going to buy something in the future and who's not. Whoever gets those customers from them understanding the people that are going to be buying soon is going to be the person who serves Google's needs better than anybody else in your space. Click-through rate-wise, conversion rate-wise. If you can do that, which by the way, anybody could do. I don't care if you're going against a Fortune 500 company, because even the Fortune 500 companies don't spend a lot of time setting up their ads very well. In fact, a lot of time it's worse than the small businesses. I know because I look at their accounts. I've seen them. Anybody can come in and set up a better ad and a better landing page than everybody else in their space if they just invest enough time and or money in it. Then you just got to show to Google, hey, this is what we got. They see it, they go, oh, I love it. Our users love it. Let's give you all the business now. And then you now make the millions for yourself. But You're not going to get it without doing the work and letting Google's system figure it out. And then, like I said, you literally can make millions of dollars in profit a year once this is going, because every year it's going to get better and better and better. Every year you're going to probably make 30 to 100% more sales from your Google Ads account, just through the additional data you've accumulated through your account. And then, you know, this is how fortunes are made. The people that you see at the top of Google, if you're wondering how they afford to be there, they started out like everybody else, spending $3 grand a month on ads. And then that $3 grand went to $6 grand, and then the third year it went to 12 grand, and then the fourth year went to 24, and then 48, and then 100, and then, you know, 5 to 7 years down the line, they're making, you know, $2 million a year in profit from Google Ads. But they didn't just assume that it should work with very little work. They came through with a plan. How do we have an amazing website that people really like and trust when they get there? How do we have a campaign that's efficient to go along with it, and an ad that has high click-through rates? Which, if you don't know how to get high click-through rates to beat your competition, or higher conversion rates to beat your competition, you watch this channel, because I go through what all that information is. And then you just put it into action, and that's how Google Ads works today, and what you can expect from it. It's not simple anymore. It is not simple. It's simple from the standpoint that I can boil it down to just two things you got to do: higher click-through rates, higher conversion rates. You do that, you'll make money. How to do that, that in itself isn't simple, but the information's free. You watch my channel, you'll know how to do it. So are you going to do it or not? The person in your space who does the work is going to get the millions. Is it going to be you, or is it going to be your competition? That in and itself is up to you. There's no reason whatsoever it can't be you. It's just up to you to decide if it's going to be you. And even though it takes 6 months to get your ads to work, well, you know, maybe you have to invest $3 grand a month into ad spend for 6 months until it breaks even. And you got a 20 grand worth of ad spend going into this that you got to invest. Well, the first month you're going to get some sales. The second month you're going to get a little bit more sales. The third month a little bit more. It's not going to be zero sales for 6 months. You're just going to have a better and better ROI as you go. Yes, you're going to have to spend 20 grand to get it going. However, when you're 3 years deep into this already, you're going to make 20 grand in profit a month. That's how you got to think about this. Yes, I'm investing 20 grand up front, but I'm going to be making 20 grand a month year 3. And year 7, I'm going to be making 200 grand a month. You just got to put things into perspective. You got to think long term. This is not a get rich quick scheme anymore. Too many people, there's too much money involved, first of all. It's just like on Yellow Pages. When everybody found out about Yellow Pages being so effective, what did people start doing? They started trying to do everything they could to make money. Starting up companies saying that they were AAAA locksmith. So they would be at the top, knowing that that was what it took to get the money. But when you're dealing with that much money to be made, that's the type of shit you're going to get. Google went the same way. There's so much money to be made with Google. You got people that are willing to do more than the basic bare minimum, and so the bare minimum isn't going to work anymore. It's still not that hard to beat people. Trust me, it's not. But it's just not going to be the bare minimum anymore. That's what's changed on Google Ads. And with Google favoring people that have been advertising a long time, because they know how their ads perform and which those ads perform well for their users, that new guys coming in, they're not going to give them the time of day until you earn your way in. That's the really big change that Google has made. So, long story short, it's not worth it to run Google Ads if you're not going to come heavy with the right ads, the right landing pages, so you get the right conversion rates, the right click-through rates to beat your competitors. And if you can and will, and you have your tracking set up at the beginnings for Google to learn what worked and what didn't work for you, it is worth it. So, it's going to take some work. It's not going to take the 15 minutes that most people put in. To tell you, just to give you some perspective, at our agency, we don't charge our clients money until we get them a certain amount of increase in results. We're the only agency that does that. But the reason why I can do that for clients, by the way, is if I'm going to set up a Google campaign, I'll spend 100 to 200 hours just setting up the campaigns, the landing pages, the the tracking systems, the remarketing systems, before I even spend a single dollar on ads. But I know when that's set up, and that baby's going, and Google starts to see that it works, it is going to freaking crush it. It's all about how your setup is now. Because people aren't willing to do that work, they're going to just try to say, oh, what difference does it make? I love that because I know how much of a difference it makes, and I'm willing to put the work in so that users that click on ads and see ads get a damn good experience. When they search for red shoes with black polka dots, they see an ad with red shoes with black polka dots on it, and we don't screw around and take them to the home page. We take them to the search results page on that site that has only red shoes with black polka dots on it, because that's what users want. But for some reason, companies don't think that they should have to do it. They're too good for that, or they shouldn't have to pay. Well, should it be? Shoulda, coulda, woulda. None of that actually, at the end of the day, makes money. You want to make money? You got to help Google's users. You got to help Google out. If you don't, you're never going to get in where the good traffic is in your space. If you do, you make tons. So anyway, I think I'll kind of wrap it up with that. If you like this video, I'd appreciate it if you give it a like and consider subscribing, as I have a ton of other content on this channel about how to make money with ads, as I mentioned earlier in the video. This information comes from an ad strategist who does ad strategy all day long. I'm not a professional YouTuber or course seller, so the information I provide can be actually relied on as a result. If you're going to pay attention to any information to learn how to make millions with ads, this is the information you want. Furthermore, by the way, I have a blog at guaranteeppc.com/blog where you can also find other work from myself, as well as on my column at entrepreneur.com. If you like the channel, you'll love my written work even more. If you have any questions or comments or concerns about anything you're doing, leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a comment on this channel, usually within a couple days' time. With that said, if you are looking for an ad manager at some point in the future, or now, I'd be happy to speak with you and seeing if we could potentially work together. Like I mentioned earlier, I do not charge clients fees until we get them more sales results on their accounts, before and without spending any more on ad spend, which means more profit, realistically speaking, before you pay any fees to our agency. The only catch is you got to have something good that we know we could really do well with. But if you want to see if we potentially can work together, reach out to my firm at guaranteeppc.com. Be happy to give you a free analysis and look at what you're doing. As a side, if you're not looking for an ad manager but you want to shortcut your way to success, we sell ad templates that work for a number of different industries that we've worked in. We've worked in over 100 different markets now at this particular stage. And if we've worked in your market, instead of going through all the hell that we did to figure out what works in your market, you can simply use the ads, campaigns, landing page templates, everything that works in your market for a one-time fee coming from us. And we can tell you what results you get with it, because that's the results we got with it in that same market that you're in. So, and basically, as long as it's just you're in a different market than our client or a different country than our client, of course you can use it in that territory. There's no conflict of interest. These templates, by the way, work so well that we got people starting side businesses with this. Starting up a lead generation business where they just outsource the leads, or they take 10% of the revenue coming in from a site that they have that they promote with the templates, or they'll start an e-commerce business on the side. There's all kinds of things you can actually do with this. I'm just mentioning it because it makes the templates are turnkey results, essentially. So anyway, with that said, if you are interested in that, you can reach out to me at my firm at guaranteeppc.com as well. But I'll wrap it up with that. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you on my next video where we have another great strategy for you then. See you later.